I'm Margaret in Windsor, and I was kidnapped in 41, born in 39, and brought to Moulton, Alabama, given the name of a twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, married Childers. I found out in 83, after I'd written a book on mind control murders and about doctors, etc., about programming, behavior modification, etc. Had a letter from the FBI June 23rd of 79, and on April Fool Day I had antifreeze put in me and should have died by all accounts. It was a living hell. I was put in a car on Easter Sunday, which was the 6th of April of 80, carried across the state line by Lina Dempsey, mother of the twins, where they took me to this shack of abuse in which she'd killed her twins and gave me the twin Peggy's name that I still have to use, and carried across the state line where I worked for the district attorney and did get a talk screen finally done showing the antifreeze even after a week and a half after it was put in me. So that tells you what they did to me. Anyway, I passed a background check and went to work for the district attorney, Fred Simpson. And you get into crypt. I hadn't found out my name till after I was flown out to Larry Flint's. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville while I was doing the book, and he says I know who was responsible for his shooting. He mentions Larry McDonald, the doctor congressman. I was out there twice in the campaign to replace Larry McDonald, and 83, and I haven't seen Mr. Flint. He furnished me a car for a year, but I haven't heard from him since. But I learned about my kidnapping and real name, and now I wanted to get back to the mind control murders. Virginia Tech was one where the shooter, he shot 32, or really it's the agency that's programming him that's doing the shooting. He doesn't even know he's going to shoot anybody or that he's been programmed. And he shot himself and killed himself like the Aurora, Colorado. So Larry McDonald, the doctor, congressman I'd written about, goes down in the Korean airline, KAL, and from Seoul, South Korea. Well, he's en route to Seoul, South Korea from Juneau, Alaska. Nixon was on the plane and taken off, so they had to know it was going down. 260 died. So I get in that campaign, and Mr. Flint flies me out there, and later I found out about my real name and kidnapping. My mother is Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, who was married to my dad while he was king. And in December of 86, he was forced to abdicate. My mom was the queen mom. Well, when I was born, she was the queen, Claudia Ruth, and King Edward VIII. He abdicated in December, and history tells you that he abdicated to Mary Wallace Simpson. She married a double. This was an American spy. And they became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. And my father and mother, my father had an addendum an addendum to the forced abdication that stated should he have an heir, the heir would inherit it, wouldn't disinherit the heir. I became the legal heir of Victoria II when I was born in 39. My uncle George, the illegal sixth, and Roosevelt in 39 planning my kidnapping with the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys. JFK's father was appointed ambassador to England in 36 till 46 by Roosevelt, who was in on my kidnapping, and then later his whole family, John Roosevelt, etc. It was, and I have to say Churchill, Sir Winston Churchill was. So it was a mass takedown plot of my father, and he was his own person. It's totally opposite the way the press has covered it. The Rockefellers and Rothschilds control. My father wouldn't go along with the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, the Illuminati, and so they got rid of him and then kidnapped me and have done all this to me and my sons who are heirs. So I wanted to say this. I don't think anyone has doubted what I've said about the mind control murders. I wanted to mention this when I worked at Fred Simpson, and that's the district attorney in 80. Simpson was like a clue to my identity, and I didn't find out about my real name until late 83, and I could remember then a lot, now I do, about being kidnapped and brought over there to that house of horrors or shack. But anyway, Simpson was the clue to Wallace Warfield Simpson marrying a double, not my father. And the Duke, the next job I had was for the Doyle Duke Golden Triangle. CIA run that in Huntsville, and it's like Doyle, like the Duke of Windsor. And I guess I'm tired because I've done a lot of this and I'm sick for a long while now. But, so it was like clues to my identity. I lived at Warren House Apartments while I was working for the DA, and that was like a clue to the Warren Commission that covered up the JFK assassination, because it would lead back to my kidnapping. He helped kidnap me, and his dad did too, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, my uncle, and take down my father. And my father was married to my mom. I wanted to get to this. While I was at the DA's, and excuse me if I'm bouncing around, November the 6th of 80 was when John Lennon was shot by Mark David Chapman. Now, that was John Lennon's British-English, the Beatle, one of the Beatles, and Mark David Chapman's name was Mark, like my son's. David is my father's name. His title was Edward. And Chapman is the C, is like in Chapman's, like C in Childers. When I moved up here to Roanoke, there's a blackout on me and all of it, because it leads to take down my dad and what they've done to me, and the mass mind control shootings and killings. It's not just shootings that I've told about. So I wanted to get this in too. The wrestler Ventura, Jesse Ventura, I had to stop and think a minute, did a program, more than one, but he did one on Mark David Chapman. Now, how he got his information, I don't know, because that would have to come from me to prove it. There are patterns that I've been telling about that were deliberately done in patterns, so they could be proven. But Jesse Ventura was also not just a wrestler, he was the governor of Minnesota a couple of times. He came out and said that it was a mind-controlled shooting of Mark David Chapman was programmed to shoot John Lennon. He was on HLN channel. Quite a few episodes he did were up there. He had to move to Mexico. I think he's moved back here now. But you see what happens to you when you tell the truth. So now I wanted to go to this, if I can get it up. I have an autoimmune disorder. When I moved to Roanoke in 86, October of 86, I came up here with nothing. I've been kept homeless, deliberately kept homeless, and deliberately had toxic fumes used on me to run me. Carl Barton, a retired Virginia State Trooper, his wife, deliberately, she meant for me to use it and tell it, because when I tell it, people say, oh, that's not happening to you. Well, they're afraid of it, or they don't care. So she said, this is how we run you, is with chemicals. Well, the law enforcement's involved in all of it. I had a letter from the FBI when I did the book, it was June the 23rd of 79, ongoing investigation, national security involved. So look at all that happened to me. I had antifreeze put in me, and it's just horrible. Ongoing was the crimes committed. They stacked them. That's what they said, and they did. So where am I now? I want to tell about this. I lived on the Appalachian Trail and froze, starved, and people were told not to help me. Now, I wanted to just say this, or I won't get this up, and I'm not going to do it again tonight because they may take this one down. It was taken down today, and they're taking down, threatening to shut down Facebook. That's Mark Zuckerman, is the grandson of David Rockefeller that helped kidnap me. He's the founder of Facebook. And let me add this. Obama, when he came back from spending a couple of nights, he and his family, in Windsor Castle with Elizabeth and her family. She's illegal. That's my home. He came back and he was on the news and everything that they control, by the way. NBC, ABC, CBS, all of it. But it was on there that there was fake news. Well, nothing I've said is fake. The news media that you hear is the fake one. But he was with Zuckerman, so here it is, and now then it's happening. And I understand it's not just happening to me. But, so they're censoring the social media now. I want to put this up, though, because when I came, these people have become wealthy, Shaw and Patel. And somebody gave me this paper from here. He'd heard about my YouTube. It's 8/15/14, August the 15th of 2014. This is Shaw, and he's with, I'm treated like I'm this little bag lady or worse. And here these people have gotten wealthy off of me. And let me tell you this. The former governors all know about me, my kidnapping, the mind control murders, and they've moved on up to where they're senators now. I'm talking about Bob Goodlatte, was over the Agriculture Committee. He's House of Representatives. He was over the law enforcement, the forest rangers. When I lived there, he's the one that I came out of his office, or I'd gone in his office many times, and John Edwards, the state senator's office, they're side by side. And when I came out the last time, I knew it was futile to go back. Somebody followed me out and got on the elevator and said, "Lady, if Goodlatte helps you, he'll be living in the forest with you." Well, now he's on the Judicial and Intelligence Committee, the two highest committees there are. And look at me, I'm just about dead. I'm deliberately kept homeless, damage done to my lungs and kidneys because I've been force-fed chemicals. When I'd have a place to live, I would pay for a month and be able to stay a week before I was so sick and left, and pay a week and maybe stay a day, okay? So I've tried to leave and I'm run back here. But I wanted to show you here that the former governors, I'm talking about Tim Kaine. He was the VP candidate with Clinton, Hillary Clinton. He's former governor. By the way, they mentioned this at that time about he was going to help Jens Zorings, the diplomat's son, go back to Germany. And that is one of the mind control murders over here in Bedford County. Jens Zorings was the diplomat's son, and Elizabeth Haysom they're in prison. He's in Buckingham, Virginia State Prison, and they were convicted of killing her mother when that was a total mind control. They're innocent. So here you've got the VP, was running for VP, former governor, and you've got Mark, what was his name? Well, let me see if I can just see from here all these big shots. Well, here, by the way, they own all the motels up and down Highway 81, which is the property that's so expensive. They own so many here in Roanoke on 3rd Lane Road here. They own them all just about. They branched out to Charlotte, North Carolina, and God knows where else. But also they've opened up new ones in Christiansburg near Virginia Tech, there in Blacksburg. And they're the soul of the community. This is Sonny Shaw. This is what they took down my video, and I didn't know it. Grand opening of a new hotel, August the 15th of 2014. Okay, here you've got John Edwards, he's senator, Virginia senator, been there so many times. His office is next to Bob Goodlatte's. Okay, it's got Jim Kaine's office. They had someone from Tim Kaine, I'm sorry. he ran, Tim Kaine ran with, that's who I was just talking about, with Hillary on the VP, and knew about the Yenzorians, was going to let him go home. He's a victim of mind control, or they are. Okay, here's another one. Bob Goodlat's the one that was over the agriculture and the forest rangers when all this was happening to me. I was trying to live, to have a place to be, and they came out and said that, that man did it, said he would be living in the forest with me if he tried to help. And now he's on the intelligence and the judicial committee. Okay, where's some more of them here? Well, they've got a bunch of supervisors and people from Roanoke and all this that wouldn't give me the time of day. And former governors, I was trying to find one of the others here that was John Edwards and Mark Warner is a former governor. All these people, former governors, have moved on up to Senator and House of Representatives, know about mind control murders, and they certainly know about my kidnapping and what's been done to me. And that's all I'm going to put on this one tonight.